ever caught yourself thinking, my child just needs to try harder? I have, and I was wrong. When your child has learning difficulties, the academic struggle rarely stays contained to one subject. So reading struggles bleed into everything because so much of what we do academically is reading based, and that includes math. So there's a lot of reading and writing that's built into math instruction today. And that academic struggle leads into something that's less talked about, which is the emotional and behavioral impact. And here's why. So if your child is on a second grade reading level, but sitting in a fifth grade classroom, during whole group instruction, they're being asked to perform on a fifth grade level, even with pullouts and small groups built in. So think about what happens to you as an adult when something is completely over your head, say in a meeting where you don't understand exactly what's going on. So you'll sneak a look at your phone or you'll stare out the window. You'll get distracted because you can't focus on something that doesn't make sense to you. Now put that in kid language or middle school or high school language. Maybe that's talking to the person next to you, cracking jokes, or just being filled with anxiety about going to school because you know it's going to be hard. So it's not always something a child can even recognize or put into words. It's just something worth thinking about if your child is showing distraction, avoidance, or behavioral struggles, avoidance especially, since nobody wants to keep doing something that feels impossible. So here's one of the biggest things to remember. Having learning difficulties is not a reflection of effort or intelligence. I've heard this so many times, and I'll be honest, I was guilty of it myself before I really understood what was happening with my own kids. I remember saying, wow, I guess we're not just trying hard enough, are we? Since you can read just fine. Well, my kids had something called self-dyslexia, which means that they were memorizing whole words so rapidly that it looked like reading, but they were struggling with spelling and with actual true decoding, which is what we actually teach in structured literacy. So what looked like laziness was really them putting in their absolute full effort and beyond. So it's not about intelligence either, because kids that are diagnosed with dyslexia, they tend to have average to above average intelligence. Stealth dyslexics often get accused of laziness, the worst, because their spoken language shows real higher order thinking, but their written output doesn't really match it. So unless you understand what dyslexia actually is, that gap looks like a lack of effort, but it isn't. So let's talk about the common struggles themselves. Dyslexia is a challenge with reading and spelling, even in bright, motivated children, specifically a breakdown in the word recognition part of reading. So even without a formal diagnosis, a child can show the same symptoms. ADHD is another common one, difficulty with attention, focus, and self-regulation, which makes it harder to stay on task. And one that doesn't get talked about nearly enough is processing skill deficiencies. So these include auditory processing, which is taking in what you hear, or visual processing, which is taking in what you see, and then processing speed and working memory, which is taking in information and being able to actually work with it, and also logic and reasoning. So if a child has deficiencies here, it affects their ability to understand, remember, and use information efficiently across the board, not just with reading. So think about long division and how many steps are involved. That's a real challenge for a child with processing difficulties. So if any of this resonates with you, grab our free reading roadmap. The link is right below in the description. And if you're just joining us, we're actually covering this topic all this month. So subscribe so you don't miss the rest.